Oh, hey guys, how are you doing? So, I wanted to create a little bit of an interesting rambly video, just talking about the future, the general future, and the future of World of Warcraft, and we'll see what happens. So, first of all, one thing that's always kind of bugged me about Warcraft, but I understand it's an important mechanic, is something we call the hedonic treadmill, right? And I may be using that term wrong, but the important word is treadmill there. So, it really does feel like you have to continually play the game in order to stay the same, and that's obviously judging you against other people. More recently, it really feels like so many people have to do a lot of dungeons to get good loot, and I think the introduction of shards, where you get one shard for killing the final boss, is a kind of torture, to be honest, because having to kill like 25 bosses is really quite a big ask, especially just to get one item, and there's probably several items that people want. So people have been playing the game, but it's not necessarily because they want to, it's because they want to keep up with everybody else and they want to get good items. Not a particularly amazing mechanic if you ask me, but I kind of get why it exists. Certainly keeps people playing the game longer, but that is the problem. I think in phase 3 a lot of people have stopped playing the game at this point. Certainly I have found in raid recruitment it's been very difficult to get new players into existing guilds, because a lot of people are probably going to come back for the end of Wrath of the Lich King, but kind of middle, I have to say the middle is kind of middling. I do like the new raid content, and it is kind of fun, but once you've done it once or twice, it kind of gets a little bit samey, I guess. And HC is kind of good as well. It is really fun, don't get me wrong, I do love the HC dungeons and the harder content, but again, I think a lot of this isn't necessarily down to really difficult tactics. It's more do people have enough eye level, for example, and you know, just it comes down to numbers basically. If you've got the numbers and people know what to do, you should probably have no problem doing the harder content. And you know, there's so many videos and stuff out there that kind of tell you what to do. I think all of it's actually pretty good, generally speaking, but yeah, I do wonder what the shelf life of World of Warcraft is, because a lot of people consider the first 3 games to kind of be a trifecta of Classic, TBC, and Wrath. So when you start going beyond that to Pandaria and Warlords of Draenor, people start to think, well, that isn't really Classic anymore. It kind of starts to move into the realm of the, you know, more recent games, I guess. But I think a lot of people are going to carry on playing. I just don't know how many people are just going to really want the Classic experience and are going to keep with the Classic experience as opposed to moving on to other expansions. But I mean, we'll have to see when it comes to that. I certainly predict the end of Wrath of the Lich King is going to be really good when we move on to the next phases. I've got a few personal problems, and I won't go into too much detail, but to cut a long story short, for a start, I'm losing my job next week, and that's because I was on a 1-year contract, and it's been a year, so I'm going to have to look for a new job. I've already had a little bit of a look without any success, so that's not something I particularly enjoy. I don't know if anybody really enjoys being unemployed and looking for a job. Secondly, I've started an ASMR channel, and I don't know how good it's going to be or how far it's going to go, but I really want to put a lot of effort in. I've actually bought some new microphones so you guys can enjoy my voice in stereo. Wow, I mean, I think that's necessary to do the ASMR, but I also think that just generally with video production, it's better to have stereo. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think of the sound. I can obviously adjust it, so yeah, do let me know. Also, I know this is probably a really uncomfortable subject for a lot of people, but I'm 35 years old at the moment, and this is a really scary thought. Okay, so horror warning, if I live to 70, that means I'm middle-aged at the moment, like literally middle-aged. And you kind of have to think, well, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And I've had a bunch of relationships and friends and stuff, and I've kind of been quite blessed with a lot of that stuff, but I never got married and I never had kids. And I know there's a lot of women in the same situation, and I almost think it's worse for women, because especially if they're involuntarily kind of single, it's just difficult, isn't it? Because I think so much of humans is geared towards having kids, and if you never have kids, you're kind of missing out on something, which is really sad. And I think obviously this affects men and women, but I don't know, it's just so hard to find people. I think a lot of dating sites are actually anti-dating sites, because I look pretty okay. I'm 6'5", I'm pretty strong, a bit overweight, but I'm a nice guy, etc. And I think I've got a lot to offer people, and I just kind of feel that dating sites are so superficial, because you get a picture of someone and people just entirely judge you on how you look. In real life, that's not how it works, because you kind of have so many more data points. What do people sound like? Are they a nice person? Do they give off a good aura? There's just so much more to people than just a sort of photograph and some text. And yeah, that's all you get on dating sites. So what else is there? I mean, I don't particularly go to bars and clubs and try to pick up people, because I'm generally having too much fun, and I'm dancing and I'm having a good time to kind of meet people and form long-term relationships, or at least long-term relationships haven't formed that way for me. Maybe it works for other people, but it's just kind of difficult, isn't it, really? But yeah, I don't know, I'd love to kind of settle down, meet someone I really like, have kids. And I know, like, for men it isn't such a big deal, but for women at 35, well, I don't know, for the first time in history, I think, half of women aged 30 in the UK don't have any kids. And they might have kids later on, but it just gets progressively harder and more risky the older people get. And, you know, there are sort of risk factors involved with men too, and I'm kind of thinking it'd be so cool to have a kid, or two, or three. It'd be so cool to have someone to share stuff with, you know, to watch all kinds of TV series and all kinds of cool stuff, you know, through their eyes, and to kind of see how they experience the world, and to help raise someone, and, you know, care about someone more than I care about myself. You know, to have that really good relationship. And it's just so difficult to meet people nowadays, and I meet a lot of people, but it's just so difficult. I mean, it doesn't help that I'm kind of shy and a bit of an introvert. I met someone on the bus and we really liked each other, and we had a really good chat about stuff, and I wanted to give her my number, but I just didn't feel it was appropriate. And I do wonder, because we've all grown up in a feminist culture, and I'm not bashing feminism particularly, I think there's good points and bad points, and I do believe in the equality of the sexes, and we should all have the same opportunities in life. 100% agree with that. But nevertheless, there's this kind of idea that, like the Gillette advert said, if you go and you talk to a woman and you say, hey, do you want to go for a drink, that's almost seen as a lot of people as being a bit creepy or a bit invasive or something. But how the heck are people meant to even meet each other if they don't have some kind of contact where either party can be in danger to a certain extent? And I mean danger of being rejected, you know, of having someone say no, get away from me, or whatever. It's just so difficult. And I have met people in the past, but I don't know, it just kind of feels like as you get older, time frames get compressed, and I'm just kind of thinking, well, I'm going to be 36 next year, I'm going to be 40 in 5 years, 45 in 10 years. Oh my god, what am I doing with my life? I've got to find a new job, blah 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 blah. Anyway, let's get back to Warcraft, because Warcraft is awesome. I do love Warcraft, but like I said, as it continues to advance, it's going to get more and more like retail, basically. And there's a lot of cool stuff in Mists of Pandaria. I sometimes wonder if I should just get in, play another game, do something else. focus my efforts in a sort of another direction, because of course the problem with Warcraft is you achieve stuff, but the achievements are kind of fake. You know, you can be the best person in the whole of Azeroth, but that doesn't really translate into the real world. It's not going to get you a bunch of money or a career or a great job or anything like that, you know? So yeah, you can achieve things in the game, but it doesn't really affect reality, which is unfortunate. I mean, maybe one day we'll be in the Matrix and they'll probably build the Matrix just like our world is, so we'll all have to escape into games inside the game. Anyway, I've got a raid later today, which is going to be fun with my guild. I've obviously mentioned that we've had problems recruiting, so if you guys are on the same realm as me, Goldmag I think it is, then, you know, if you need a guild, then obviously head over to us. It'd be kind of cool, actually, if you want to. Of course, the hedonic treadmill carries on relentlessly, so I went for a raid yesterday and I got 2 new items, which were really high level and really cool. And of course, the next phase we're going to be out of date, but nevertheless, I'm mostly caught up on my gear now. So even though I'm not doing amazing damage and I don't have any proper armor at the moment, hopefully soon I will have some good armor and stuff. But even then, like, how long does it last? Because the armor's going to be out of date very quickly. You know, when I was young, when I was a teenager, I always used to watch Newsnight, which was a sort of politics show on the BBC, and I really wanted to get into politics. I don't know, because now I'm sort of older and more cynical, it kind of seems like people are selected more for who they know and the kind of clubs that they're in and their relationships and stuff. I don't know. There's so much in-group preference with humans and we don't even realize it. In fact, when you're kind of a bit introspective and you kind of look into yourself, you realize that we are really animals, and I don't mean that in a bad derogatory way, but we have instincts and all kinds of preferences. And I know some people might say, well, do we have like preferences for certain ethnic groups or something? I don't even think like that's a massive factor, because people are so conscious of that at the moment. I just think, being a bit overweight myself, that people are going to look down on me for that. Well, they're going to look up to me because I'm 6'5", but you get what I'm saying, guys. And as far as I can tell, my height's never actually helped me, so anyone who's a bit shorter, I don't think the grass is any greener over here, to be honest. Oh well, I mean, in game news, I guess the Steam sale is on at the moment, so I bought myself Sonic Frontiers and Tropico 6, because I always enjoyed the Tropico series. I don't know about streaming Tropico 6 if I do play it, but it just seems like I never have any free time, even though I kind of have loads of free time. I guess it's more a choice of what you want to do with your free time. But yeah, anyway, the Steam sale's on for a little bit, and yeah, it's already draining money away from me. I want to play more of The Legend of Zelda, because it's such a wonderful, beautiful game, but especially with creating content, I don't think people were particularly interested, and I think that's mostly down to me not putting the content out in the right form. Maybe people are over the game, but I think the problem is you have to play the game to really experience it, and watching other people play the game kind of works in Warcraft, but it doesn't really work in Zelda Breath of the Wild, because it's kind of like relaxing kind of world simulator almost, where you can kind of just chill out and just explore the world and discover all kinds of new things. And I love that about Zelda, but I don't know if that really translates particularly well. But yeah, the current iteration of the game is really good. Is it worth the £50 or whatever I paid for it? Well, I mean, that really depends on the person, but I would say if you like Breath of the Wild, you'd probably like the modern Zelda game. Oh, seeing as how I'm just rambling, I guess I was thinking a bit about the Disney Corporation as well. And, you know, I think the construction of different age groups is something which society has built. For example, in the past, there were no teenagers, right? there were just kids and there were men, and you know, there was no sort of teenage phase. But I think with rock and roll and Elvis Presley and a lot of you know, music singers and a lot of media, basically, we created the teenager, and we created a lot of ideas about teenagers, for example. So that's kind of like a social construct. And I think, I don't know, MTV, whatever you want to say, all of this stuff created the concept of the teenager. And I think Disney created the concept of childhood, of a lot of the innocence, a lot of the if you look at a film like Robin Hood, for example, you have Robin Hood, the adult, who was a great hero, his love interest, Maid Marian, but then you've got all the kids in the movie, you know, the rabbit who's an archer, and the tortoise, and the hare girl, and all of this stuff, right? So you've got the kids and you've got the adults, and the kids, they play games, and then you have the Don't Say Gay bill from, Ron DeSantis or whatever. I know that's sort of a really bad name. It just... for a company that created childhood, you know, with their movies, who kind of created that archetype, to then go on to campaign so vociferously for this. I kind of understand it, because I think that it's important for people to know about other people, and it's important to know that people are different, and I do agree, but just for the Disney Corporation and its employees to be so passionate about this one issue, it really kind of makes you think. And then you hear that they lost 50% of the value over the past few years, and they keep making these like movies which are not bad, but they're not particularly great, you know? Disney created so much great movies, and maybe it's just because I was a kid, but you think about, I don't know, The Lion King, I already mentioned Robin Hood, but there's been an absolute slew of movies which are just brilliant, classic. Probably my favourite Disney movie of all time was the original Disney's Mulan. What a brilliant movie, but again, heavily steeped in gender roles and almost exploring gender and whatnot, but not really being so explicit about it. I don't know. It's just kind of complicated, isn't it? But yeah, I don't think that Disney's done themselves any favours recently, even if they do kind of believe in the stuff they were talking about. Just the fact that it's the Disney company talking about that stuff, I don't know, maybe you disagree. I think it's important that people do disagree, because it'd be boring if we were all the same. So let's sum up the video, let's sum up everything. The future of Warcraft, I think, is kind of bright, although I can actually see it fractionating off to a lot of different types of game in the future. So we've already seen the establishment of hardcore, and a lot of people are playing that game. The problem with hardcore, I always feel, is you kind of make a bunch of progress and then you kind of die and you lose it all and you have to go back and start again. And that does make it kind of fun and risky, but are people going to play that long term, or are they going to do that for a little bit, then move on, kind of thinking, well, you know, I'm not going to get to level 60 because it's so freaking difficult. There are so many times that you can die, and a lot of the time it is not fair, you know. There'll be a mob and it'll stun you and it'll throw a net on you and it'll trigger a whole bunch of people to run over to you. Especially the classic game, it's just so difficult. I mean, look right here. On the screen, this is a good example. If I were to run up to this mill, I could aggro everyone inside this mill, and then they would all run out the outside, they would run out the door, and every other mob in the area would start, like, chasing you, right? Because if one mob is aggroed, he'll aggro the other mobs as well. It's just so difficult, really. Which I guess is why it's fun, but I don't know, I don't think it will last. Will we go to Mr. Pandaria and Warlords of Draenor and all the other expansions? Possibly, yeah. Although I think some people are just going to be interested in doing the trifecta, the classic Wrath and TBC. To be honest, it would kind of be fun to go back to TBC and, you know, sort of start again on the classic journey. I don't know how many people would sign up for that, but it's been about 3 or 4 years since we started Classic. So I wonder if we would do Classic. Maybe that would work. I certainly think there's some people who would do that, but yeah, I don't know. I know there kind of is stuff like that, but yeah. Okay, let's finish the video on a happy note. Okay, I think it's really beneficial to think about what you want to do over the next, say, 5 years, and then kind of work backwards from there. So, what would be the ideal scenario? I guess, even though I'm fairly healthy, if I lost a bit of weight, that would be great, and went to the gym more. I'm probably going about once or twice a week at the moment, which isn't bad, but yeah, I could step up the gym and feel a lot better. Okay, what else can we do? I'd love to meet someone who, you know, actually wants to kind of settle down and have kids, and it'd be nice if I get another job, so I'm in a financial situation where we could potentially get our own place. That'd be amazing. Yeah, I guess have kids and stuff, which I guess would follow, hopefully. Would also be kind of amazing to find a kind of career which is awesome, which I kind of enjoy, and where I can kind of make a difference. But then again, I mean, it's kind of difficult to do that. 90% of people, maybe 80%, I don't know, just have regular jobs. They don't have careers. And it would be nice to have a sort of amazing career, but yeah, I guess for now we'll just have to settle for a job. What else would be awesome? I guess in terms of technology and AI, it'd be really cool if I kind of got into that as a profession a little bit. I wonder what I could do. But yeah, if I got into one of these cool companies like Google. I used to work at Microsoft, believe it or not. But yeah, it'd be really cool to get into Google. Maybe I'll have a look at jobs that they're offering at the moment, and see if they have any kind of training. I don't know if they bother to train people anymore. I mean, the modern trend in the business world is just to say, hey, we want someone who's for a full package, who will come in and they'll do the job, and then we'll treat them very, very badly and probably kick them out in a few years or whenever we feel like it. And you know, that's just kind of what happens. But I don't know, maybe there's better companies than others. But anyway, yeah, the future could be very, very bright, I guess. And who knows, maybe we will invent artificial general intelligence, and there'll be a massive intelligence explosion, and the machine will be like, hey, I've got an idea. I'm so smart, I figured out a way to make humans immortal. Maybe we can upload all human intelligence to some super efficient, green, sustainable data centers, and this will be 100% backup and 100% safe, and let's upload the entire human race, and we'll become digital, immortal beings who span the universe and who pilot spaceships, and will sort of be spread out throughout the galaxy. And oh, I don't know, that's probably a bit fanciful in the next 5 years. Anyway, guys, I guess I'll leave it there. Sorry about the rambly video. I just felt like having a chat to you guys. Thank you very much. So yeah, goodbye.